Hey, good morning. It's Mike Sarna from Meadow Baptist Church. Our next story in the Jesus Storybook Bible is the present, the story of Abraham and Isaac from Genesis chapter 22. Make sure you read that actual chapter with your parents. God knew his secret rescue plan could only work if Abraham trusted him completely. God had to make sure Abraham would do whatever he asked. So a few years later, God asked Abraham to give him a present. Abraham liked giving presents to God. He gave God his animals. They were called sacrifices, and they were a way to say, I love you to God. By this time, God didn't want a lamb or a goat. God wanted Abraham to give him something more, much more. He wanted Abraham to give him his son, his only son, the son he loved, Isaac. Put his boy on the altar and kill him as a sacrifice? How could God want him to do such a terrible thing? Abraham didn't understand, but he knew God was his father who loved him. And so Abraham trusted him. Early the next morning, Abraham and Isaac set off. They climbed the steep, stony trail up the mountain. Isaac carried the wood on his back, and his father carried the knife and the coals for the fire. Papa, Isaac said, we have everything we need, except we forgot the lamb for the sacrifice. God will give us the lamb, son, Abraham said. He will provide. So they built an altar, and they laid the wood on top. See him up on top of Mount Moriah there. Abraham asked his son to climb on top of the wood. Isaac, he didn't understand, but he knew his father loved him, and so he trusted him. He climbed up on the altar, and Abraham tied his boy to the wood. Isaac didn't struggle or try to run away. He just lay there quietly and didn't make a sound. Everything was ready. Abraham took the knife. Tears were filling up in his eyes. Pain was filling up in his heart. His hand was shaking. He lifted the knife high into the air. Stop, God said. Don't hurt the boy. I want him to live and not die. I know you love me because you would have given me your only son. Abraham felt his heart leap with joy. He unbound Isaac and folded him up into his arms. Great sobs shook the old man's whole body. Scalding tears filled his eyes, and for a long time they stayed there like that in each other's arms, the boy and his dad. Suddenly, Abraham saw a ram caught in some brambles. The sacrifice. God had given them what they needed just in time. The ram would die so that Isaac didn't have to, and so Abraham sacrificed the ram instead of his son. You know, blood sacrifice was required to deal with our sin. And the fact that Abraham was faced with giving his only son, that sure sounds like someone else, doesn't it? So there they are around the campfire at night after providing the sacrifice. As they sat there on the mountaintop watching the embers of the fire die in the cool night air, the stars above them sparkling in the velvet sky, God helped Abraham and Isaac understand something. God wanted his people to live, not to die. God wanted to rescue his people, not punish them, but they must trust him. One day, someone will be born into your family. God promised them, and he will bring happiness to the whole world. God was getting ready to give the whole world a wonderful present. It would be God's way to tell his people, I love you. Many years later, another son would climb another hill, carrying wood on his back. Like Isaac, he would trust his father and do what his father asked. He wouldn't struggle or run away. Who was he? God's son, his only son, the son he loved, the Lamb of God. His name is Jesus. The Mount Moriah, where Abraham offered his son Isaac, is where Jerusalem was built. And outside of Jerusalem is where Jesus died, on that same hill. Our next lesson, as we come to it, will be the girl no one wanted, out of Genesis 29 and chapter 30. See you later.